Hello, YouTube. This is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard. Hope you're all doing well this fine afternoon, morning, evening, whatever the hell it may be for you. So, I wanted to share with you some thoughts about what I think life might be like after the solar flash, when we are supposedly in 5D. So, give me 1 second here just to make sure that I'm broadcasting, because sometimes, for whatever reason, I can't see myself being projected on the screen there. Okay, that says I'm there. All right. So I wanted to talk to you about what I think life might be like. I'm not saying I know this for sure. I'm not giving you a prophetic vision. This is just my thoughts based on my experiences over the past, 7 months or so. Again, so as many of you know, if you don't know, in June of 2020, I was successful after a couple of attempts to make contact with an extraterrestrial being from a higher dimension. And that kickstarted absolute total avalanche of events where my entire reality became completely, totally destroyed and reformed. Apparently, I must have some karma with higher dimensional beings, or there's something about me that I guess they liked. But they started interacting with me on a daily basis. Sometimes the entire day would be taken up with being filled with all kinds of different energies, dreams during the night, having visitations during the night, them doing energy work on my body, taking me to different parts of the galaxy and universe in my astral body, teaching me all kinds of stuff. And, basically everything about what I thought reality was came crashing down, as well as just living in the most intense sci-fi fantasy movie I could have ever imagined. So, what's really been going on, it hasn't been that long, it's been about 7 months. I've just been trying to keep up and figure out what's been going on. There's been a few videos you've watched, some dreams about things. I didn't know until about 5 or 6 months ago. I didn't even know there was such a thing as a solar flash. And I didn't hear it from anybody. I didn't see a video on it. My ET friends told me about what they called a solar wave event. And turns out that when I tried to figure out what that was, turns out this has been talked about since about 2012, the event, an ascension event. Since I have been interacting with my higher dimensional friends, there has been, to my knowledge, at least one solar flash event. It wasn't the event, it was an event. And I definitely felt a shift. Not everybody did. A lot of other people did feel it. I was given knowledge of it the night before, and then the next day, sure enough, it showed up. There was a point in time where now I know how to understand some of the communications that I get. And bear in mind, if you're not clear on what I'm talking about, then I recommend that you go to audiobooks.thunderwizard.com and get my book, Extraterrestrials Are Coming to Earth. I explain to you in detail exactly what it's like to have telepathic communications from higher dimensional beings. So one of the things that happens, for me, when they communicate with me, I would say, probably 2/3 of the time of the amount of communications I get, about 2/3 of them are telepathic communications. And so As is the case according to physics, we know that when a higher dimensional being communicates with a lower dimensional being, what ends up happening is that the communication is felt inside the individual. They don't hear a voice, they don't see anything. There's a thought that erupts within their mind. And so that's one part, is trying to understand, did I just have some strange thought? But also, I've come to find out that they are communicating from a higher dimension, which means that the human brain has a very hard time knowing what to do with fifth dimensional concepts. So they're giving fifth dimensional concepts to a third dimensional brain, and the third dimensional brain, is going to figure out as best it can. And so I was confused by some of the things that they said. There was one time where they came to me and they said, "We're coming for you tomorrow." I didn't know what that meant. Again, that's coming from within my own mind. Those are my words. The feeling is theirs, the intention, the message is theirs, but the interpretation is mine. "We're coming for you tomorrow." I don't know. I didn't know what the heck that meant. I thought there was going to be a spaceship that was going to land and I was going to get inside a spaceship. I didn't know what was going to, I was excited, but I was also quite nervous. Came to find out that what that meant was that it was going to be a significant communication event where they, with their astral bodies, were going to come down and communicate with me. And again, from a higher dimensional space. And I learned a hell of a lot. I'm still unwrapping a lot of that stuff. And then there was one time they came to me after telling me about the upcoming solar flash event and the 5D shift that everybody's been talking about. They did definitely say that was happening. They said, "We're coming for you first." Now, I didn't know what that meant either. I thought it was going to come on a certain day and they were going to pick me up in a ship beforehand. And, and I was getting this. And at the same time, they were saying, "We want you to be on Earth. We're not going to take you away from Earth. We're going to put, and I didn't know what the heck they were talking about. But what they were getting me ready for is that they did, in fact, shift me for the better part of an entire day. They shifted me up to a fifth dimensional, or what we call 5D, which it really isn't fifth dimensional, but 5D experience, where I spent the better part of a day feeling connected to everything, feeling a tremendously high vibrational mindset of love and connection, and everything sparkled. The sun sparkled, the water on the beach was more beautiful. I could feel the energy of all the people. I felt connected. They were all my family. I wanted to run up and hug everybody. I didn't. I felt a connection to, their dogs. People's dogs were running across the beach to be with me, because I guess I was giving off some kind of vibe or who knows what. That still kind of happens anyway. But in any case, I was shifted up for the better part of a day. It was very intense, and I'm still human, and it was brand new. So there was a lot of me that was like, what the heck is going on here? But I went with it and enjoyed the experience. And so I do know what's coming. Now, I only know that because of what they've showed me. Now, the other stuff that's been very challenging, not to experience, but to understand, and I've just decided to stop trying to understand it, is that on a daily basis, sometimes more intense than others, but every single day without fail, I am getting energy inputs into my heart center that are vary in different kinds of feelings. Some of them feel just very intense. It feels like exactly what I expect it to be, which is a higher dimensional vibration. It's got elements of a feeling of some kind of electricity, but it's not. An element of some kind of feeling of electromagnetic field, but it's not that either. It feels sometimes like there's a pressure on my chest, but and at the same time, this energy is coming from inside of my body. So I recommend everybody go and learn, get some understanding of quantum physics having to do with different dimensions. Please don't buy into 99% of the nonsense out there when people start to talk about different dimensions, especially in spiritual understandings, because they're not understanding it at all. Quantum physics explains perfectly what I've experienced and what I'm continuing to experience. So do some research, find out what quantum physics says about what it would be like to be in different dimensions. For instance, in the third dimension, again, this is according to quantum physics. In the third dimension, all of the light that we have, all of the gravity that we have, all of the electromagnetism that we have in the third dimension is actually leaking into our dimension from the fifth dimension. And in the fifth dimension, light, gravity, and electromagnetism are one force. But when they come into 3D, they're split into three different forces. So that's what it's like when you get energy from a fifth dimensional place. It feels like that. It feels like this concentrated energy that sort of reminds you of these other things, but yet it's not. And it's more intense, and it's not like it touches you here or here. It kind of sort of explodes from inside of you. And so that's what's been happening to me on a daily basis. Sometimes it's energy, other times it can be very intense emotions, usually some kind of blissful experience, like an intenseful, blissful experience, an intense love, warmth. If what I end up getting in trouble when I try and figure out what's going on, and then I can sometimes get confused and even paranoid. What the heck is this? But if I just relax into it, it's actually very pleasant. And sometimes there will be communications involved and other times not. And I've come to believe that what's happening is that they are tuning me up energetically. And apparently this is a big deal. They are tuning up a 3D human to shift up into 5D. So I'm kind of like a Frankenstein. I'm not 3D and I'm not 5D. I'm sort of in this in-between stage, and they seem to be doing a lot of work on me in that regard. I thought that this is happening with everybody who is doing CE5 or Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, but I don't think that's the case. I think for most people, that's not what's happening. But that's what's been happening with me. So what I've been living with for months has been continuous telepathic, energetic communication from higher dimensional beings. And there's this, now I have this sense that I'm also sort of been plugged into the quantum consciousness of the universe. So let me explain to you what I believe based on my experiences, as well as some of the work by Dr. Stephen Greer, who's, what he talks about, a lot of what he talks about definitely mirrors my experience. But higher dimensional beings do have technology. They have technology that they've created to do things like communicate, travel, things like that. But where we use things like computers and artificial intelligence, they use the quantum field. They use consciousness. They use the mind of God, if we can put it that way. So imagine living in a universe where you have technologies that are powered by the quantum consciousness. So that means that the devices that they use have awareness, not like artificial intelligence, which doesn't have any awareness. You know, one of the things I find interesting is watching some of these videos people put up on YouTube of two different AIs talking to each other. And it's quite funny because it's obvious that there's no real communication. It's just programs bouncing back and forth with each other, not making any sense at all. And trying to mimic what they think human speech is. But there's no consciousness there. So imagine having, you know, your laptop, for instance, having your laptop being driven by cosmic consciousness. Imagine the internet. Instead of it being what it is now, imagine it being, or Alexa, you know, you've got your Alexa. Alexa, what is the weather like? And Alexa goes on to the internet and searches it and gets information. But imagine having technology that was actually had consciousness from the source, from cosmic consciousness, which would mean that if you were interacting, like it could work telepathically with you. They could have technologies that could telepathically communicate to you, but the energy that's being communicated to you isn't some electronic, kind of thing that a human would create. It is actually spiritual energy, spiritual consciousness that can interact with you. So imagine being in a place where you were just your body, your chakras, your energy system, all of the things in your body was actually hooked up to the quantum field consciousness, the consciousness of the universe. Dr. Greer has talked about, according to him, I don't have any information on this, this is coming straight from him, where human beings have found downed craft and taken some of their technology, and in the lab, as the human beings are trying to reverse engineer it, the actual pieces of technology, alien technology, communicated with them saying, please destroy me, because these people are going to use me for very bad things, and I'm not here for that. And so the consciousness of the technology was a spiritual awareness. It was a consciousness of the universe. It wasn't some, program, some mindless program. So when we get into 5D, here's some of the thoughts that I have. I believe that what I have been experiencing now is what human beings will, on varying levels, begin to experience. One of the first things that's going to happen is that the veil between the different dimensions is going to come down. I don't know if it's going to come down all at once, or if it's going to be a slow process, or if there will be some people who are more connected than others, but the process is going to go very fast. And the reason why I'm able to have the experience I'm having is, number one, I initiated contact. And if you remember in one of my first videos, I said, I'm going to take this as far as it goes. And they took me at that. And so they've been taking my connection with them as far as is, I'm not kidding you, as far as is humanly possible. We've gone beyond my ability at least a couple of times where I, almost completely lost my mind. Because, a 3D mind, trying to contain 5D consciousness is just, it doesn't fit. So they're having to learn as well. This is also my belief based on my interactions with them, is that I'm like a guinea pig. They're learning with me how much and how fast human beings can, shift up. So I think there's going to be people who are going to go through this. Now, what this means, again, when the shift happens, I believe what will happen is that the entire world will be aware of higher dimensional beings. Right now, human beings only, and up until this point, have only known of higher dimensional beings through their religion. Angels, elves, fairies, jinn, whatever. A few cultures, like some Native American cultures, knew that they were star people, but for most human cultures, the only way that the human brain could even fathom the idea of higher dimensional beings was through religion, whatever your religion or spirituality was. And so what's going to happen is, after the solar flash comes, I believe that the entire Earth will be aware of what I just said, that angels, elves, fairies are actually higher dimensional extraterrestrial beings. Now, before you start going into some David Icke conspiracy theory about it, let me be very clear that even though they have physical bodies in a higher dimension, and even though they are from other planets and other galaxies and solar systems, they do not identify with their physical bodies the way you and I do. What they identify with is their soul. From a soul perspective, they see no difference between you and them. In fact, they have memory of all of their past lives. You don't. So you don't remember that you've been an extraterrestrial higher dimensional being in other lifetimes. You don't remember that your higher self, your guardian angel, which you would think is something God gave you to watch over you, you don't remember that that being is actually a person, a soul that you've known intimately, perhaps for hundreds of lives. So these beings, even though technically they are from other planets and other solar systems, the fact that they are coming from a higher dimension means that they are intimately connected to you. They're not confused about you. So they're not like looking at you going, what are those strange humans doing? They're not like that at all. They know you. They know you backwards and forwards. Because they're in a higher dimension, they see things much differently. They can see you in your soul essence. They can see your past lives and future lives because they're not trapped in 3D space-time. And they, not only do they, because they're higher dimensional beings, not only do they have nothing but love for you, but they've known you. You've been their brother, their mother, their sister, their grandfather, their cousin. You've been in their family in different incarnations, hundreds, perhaps thousands of different times. So I want you to get rid of the idea that extraterrestrials are aliens. As I've put out in my latest book, which is now on Kindle and will soon be in paperback and audiobook, it's not yet, I explain to you exactly how alien abductions has nothing to do with extraterrestrials. That they're alien in nature, meaning that it's different, and there's even paranormal stuff associated with it, but it has nothing to do with extraterrestrials. The extraterrestrials that are coming to Earth are 100% from higher dimensions. And because they're from higher dimensions, they don't have the ability to have any negative intent towards you whatsoever. I won't spend the time to belabor that point. But I just want you to understand that. And that has been a real education for me, because I, like everybody else, especially the extraterrestrial that made contact with me, I believe was a 7-foot mantis being. Something like that, it's really hard for me in my limited 3D human brain to feel connected to that. I mean, it's just so totally different. But that being was actually, has been my brother in a past life. I don't know what other connections we've had. But we have a very strong connection, and that being has nothing but love for me and wants nothing but my happiness. So what will happen after the shift comes? One of the first things is that it's, however long it takes, the entire population of the planet will come to realize, number one, that higher dimensions exist, that higher dimensional beings exist, that there's a whole other level of millions of different cultures from different planets and different dimensions of higher dimensional beings, and they will realize that it has only been on planet Earth and other 3D planets like planet Earth where things have been isolated and difficult, where there's war and violence and lying and betraying and things like that. That only happens in lower dimensions, 3D and below. Once you go above 3D, that doesn't exist. It is Eden. It is heaven. When you get beyond 3D, you are in a state where everybody knows each other, everybody senses each other, everybody loves each other, regardless of what species you are or what planet you are. When you see another conscious being, your first experience will be to experience their soul essence. And when you see their soul essence, you will feel a connection and a love, even if you've never met them before. There will be no fear, there will be no danger. Beings will communicate telepathically, maybe not through words, but they're going to be able to communicate very deeply and telepathically. I have to say that the level of communication that I receive on a daily basis is easily the most emotionally intimate experience I've ever had. I mean, there isn't anybody that knows me more deeply than my ET friends. There's no human on the planet that has ever known me as deeply as they do. Nor have I ever felt more loved and supported and empowered. I've never been, nobody's ever been, I mean, there's nothing negative for me about the experience. The only negative thing is when my 3D limitation kicks in and I get confused and I don't understand what's happening. That's the only thing that's the only time I create anything negative. And then sometimes fear will get in there because fear is just that. It's the unknown. Fear comes when you don't understand something. So I believe that everybody will have this kind of experience. They'll know that other dimensions exist. They will have access to other dimensions. Everybody will know about higher dimensional light beings and know that our planet, since before the human race ever evolved, has been watched over and interacted with by these higher dimensional beings. So it's not like they're just discovering us for the first time. They've known us for millions, if not billions of years. They're very interested in all planets. They come here to our solar system and they study Jupiter, they study Venus, they study the sun, and every planet has multiple dimensions as well. So for instance, like I can tell you for having done some of the interdimensional shamanic journeys to Jupiter, that on different dimensional levels, Jupiter is a very different place. And there are beings that live on and in Jupiter that are extremely powerful, very wise beings. In fact, in terms of energy, they're one of the most powerful energetic beings in the universe. One of my first ET visitations was I traveled to Jupiter and I called them and I said, come to Earth and I wanted energy. I wanted them to give me their energy because, being the thunder wizard I am, I like Jupiter. So sure enough, they showed up and they put some deep, powerful energies into me that I actually took me about 6 hours for my body to be able to incorporate, because it was a little too much. It was a lot of energy. So we're going to have a crash course in understanding how different and varied and beautiful and wonderful and amazing our universe is. And I do believe that people will start to learn at their pace, depending on, you know, their karma, their, you know, what they want, you know, what their soul level is, all that stuff. All that stuff will be taken into consideration. But human beings will start to learn to identify with their soul primarily, not their physical body. They will begin to learn how to communicate telepathically. They will learn how to travel astrally to different places all over the universe. One of the first things that I believe will happen is that human beings will astrally travel to different planets all over, you know, this entire universe, different dimensions, worlds in different dimensions. It's going to be a tremendous education. And but the main thing is that there's not going to be any more need for armies, police, government, banks. There's going to be little or no disease. There's going to be no, you won't have to worry as much about protecting yourself against other people's intentions. You're not going to have to hide. People won't be able to lie. They just won't be able to. It'll be impossible for them to lie. The main issue of three-dimensional reality that we deal with is devaluation, feeling devalued, feeling unworthy. That is the main default experience of the 3D, and that will slowly start to shift. And I'm saying that because the default position of feeling devalued, unloved, and unworthy, unlovable is where violence comes from, is where greed comes from, is where lying comes from, betrayal, manipulation, narcissistic abuse of all kinds. This all comes from the feeling that we have in our essence of not being lovable, not being valuable, not having relevance. And that will shift, because one of the first things that happens, anybody who's had any interaction with a higher dimensional being will tell you that the first experience they have is to be filled with this feeling of being loved, seen, and being told how valuable, how lovable, how relevant, how important, how unique you are. It's the first thing that happens. So by the way, that's how you know if you've had an experience with a higher dimensional being. If you've had an experience with any kind of paranormal anything, and you have anything other than absolute love and acceptance, then you know you have not had an experience with a higher dimensional being. You've had an experience with some three-dimensional spirit or some three-dimensional being, because that only happens in the third dimension or below. So, we've just started on the channel. If you go here to thunderwizard.com, you'll see here that there's a new tier, which is the Interdimensional Shamanic Journey Meditation course. And I've just uploaded a couple of videos. I'm going to be uploading more. I'm going to continue to upload the different kinds of interdimensional shamanic journeys that I take. I'm going to guide you through them. I will guide you through just learning how to do that. It's incredibly simple. In fact, it's so simple, it's deceptively simple. And to give you an opportunity to get a connection with your higher dimensional spiritual guide who is already with you, has been with you your whole life, but now you'll be able to connect interdimensionally, take away the, have the curtains pulled aside, and you'll be able to see what this being really is and get a connection to higher dimensional energies. And we'll do things like travel to different planets, travel to different galaxies, learn some of the different kinds of extra dimensional beings. I'll share with you, I haven't shared a lot about the different kinds of beings, and there's just a whole structure that I'm just beginning to learn. Basically, I'll share those things with you. And of course, the two most important things you can have, which is what I've always done here on my live streams, is learn how to ask an honest question, know what your emotional needs are and to ask from your vulnerability. That's what I mean by honest question. You're coming from your vulnerability. And number two, to learn how to share honest feelings, not opinions. Because that takes away being guarded. And when you're with a higher dimensional being, they operate much more efficiently with you if you have honest questions and if you operate from honest feelings. If you try and do anything else, you run the risk of misinterpreting, of projecting, conflating, or just shutting off the connection altogether. So those are two things. What we do in this live stream is the best way to interact with higher beings. In any case, I'm going to be teaching you all of that in the Interdimensional Shamanic Journey Meditation course. If you're new to the channel, my recommendation is to subscribe to the level just above that, which is just $1 more, which is the 90-day lightning qigong. If you do that, you will have access to everything underneath it. And I do recommend that you go here to audiobooks.thunderwizard.com. I do recommend you can read my books. I have books in print, but I recommend you listen, because hearing it in my voice, I'm able to communicate concepts more clearly that way. So you can go here to audiobooks.thunderwizard.com to see the books. And there will be a new book about extraterrestrials. We have one now. There will be a second one, which is going to be called Interdimensional Revolution: How to Take Down the 3D Deep State. So we'll talk about that book another time. All right, so I'm happy to open it up to questions, and I'm happy to listen to your thoughts and your feelings. If you have any questions, write the word question in all caps, and if you have any feelings, write the word feeling in all caps. Okay, let's see. So there was a, I don't know if he's still here. So Dave Jones, I don't even know why you're on my channel. If you don't agree with the concept, why waste your time? I mean, you guys can't see it because YouTube hides trolls very well these days, and this guy's just a total troll. I don't know why you're here. So you obviously don't agree with me. So there's nothing for you to get out of this channel. So we're just going to go ahead and block you from commenting, just so you won't waste your time with it. Okay, we'll just get rid of that. Okay, so Vincent.thunderwizard.com says hello. He is one of my Vedic astrologers. You can go to his website, Vincent.thunderwizard.com. I'm going to move this back because it's in my eyes and bugging me. Vincent.thunderwizard.com. And you can see all the other stuff that he has there available on his website. Let's see. Lushka has a question. Whenever I make an investment in myself, so much resistance comes up that it almost feels impossible to be able to achieve it. And it must be from deep trauma, yet it's been very hard. Is there a specific energy work that can really help me do this? I'm kind of surprised you're even asking that question. What is that right there? Oh, that's the 90-day challenge, thunderwizard.com. The whole point of the 90-day challenge is it's the triune, thank you, give me an opportunity to explain. It's the triune energy practice. There's no other energy system in the history of the human race, as well as right now, you won't find this anywhere, where you have the combination of Qigong, which is life force energy. The energy that's the ambient energy that's all around you. Kundalini, which is not life force energy. It is the energy of consciousness that is in the spinal column and the nervous system that allows our human body to actually be connected spiritually and mentally. And then 3, the lightning center of the heart, which almost nobody knows about, but it is the most powerful energy in the body. and it keeps the soul. There's a reason why we have to use electricity to start somebody's heart, because it's an electric field, very powerful electric field that surrounds the soul, and they're very easy, very simple, but nevertheless unknown exercises that you can do to open that energy up so that instead of it being self-contained, it goes through the whole body. There's no place in the world you're going to learn all three of those. I teach you some very specific energy practices to do exactly what you're asking, Lushka. So makes me think maybe you're not subscribed. If you are subscribed to the Warrior 90-Day Challenge, let me know. I will have a different answer for you. But instead of me going into a long diatribe, let me know if you have subscribed to that or not. And if you haven't, then the easiest answer is subscribe and do that. Because what you're talking about, Lushka, is everybody has this to some degree. Some people have it more than others. But because we live in 3D, the main illusion of 3D is that we're isolated. By the way, we're on the ass end of consciousness. So in the multiverse, everything is connected to each other. Everybody sees and knows and is connected to everybody, regardless of what planet you're on or anything like that. Everybody feels this, and everybody from the moment that they're born has an experience of the quantum consciousness or God. Only in 3D are we born isolated from all of that, where we don't feel connected to that. And only in 3D do we struggle with following our soul desire, because that's what you're talking about. Lushka, that's my, go here to audiobooks.thunderwizard.com and get the book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life, because you're talking about your soul desire. And as I say in that book, I believe I say it in that book, there's two reasons that we come to 3D. The first one is we are here to live our soul's desire. Our soul wants to do something in 3D and enjoy itself, not like have a career. No, your soul wants to come and have fun in 3D. It came here for that purpose. That's the first thing. You have to do that. The second thing that we've come here to do is to bump into our karmic blocks. You will bump into all of your karmic blocks when you go after your soul desire. So what you're describing is somebody who's going towards their soul. You call it investing in yourself. And what ends up happening is that when you invest in yourself, that 3D programming kicks in, which says that you are unvaluable, you're not worthy, you're not relevant, you're stupid, that's dumb, don't do that, and you feel shame, guilt, fear, all kinds of things come up to stop you. That's your karma. So the way to burn off karma is simply do the difficult thing that makes your soul happy. And if you get in the habit, like you said, you say investing in myself, there's resistance. So if you just accept that you're going to have resistance, just accept it. Don't try and figure it out. Don't try and make it, don't try and lessen it. Don't try and make it go away. One of the biggest mistake people make is they wait for the right feeling to come along. They say, how can I get into a place where I feel powerful, where I feel brave? It's not going to happen. That's not how it works. My ancestors had a very accurate view of how to live life. They said, those who die in battle go to Valhalla. That is, it's not literal. It doesn't mean if you get a knife in your neck, you go to heaven. It means that if you're willing to die to achieve the thing that gives your soul happiness, you will achieve it. You will become successful. You will be happy. It doesn't say when you feel good about doing something and then you do it. It doesn't say that. It says when you die in battle, you go to Valhalla. So, you have a very common problem. You want to feel good before you do something. You want to feel like it's going to work. I mean, love is the same way. You get married, you don't know if that person's going to cheat on you. You just trust. So, you're asking me, how to get through that. But first one is energy practices. Go here to thunderwizard.com and do that. I didn't read the rest of it. You say, I am doing the 90-day practice, but although it's helping, it seems like the block in the navel just wanted to know your thoughts. So all that's happened is that the 90-day is working, because now you're aware of your karmic block. And the karmic block, if you are able to analyze it, most people can't. They're just filled with fear. They're filled with doubt. They're filled with shame. They're filled with guilt. And so they stop because it's painful. And that's the whole point of the pain. The pain is trying to stop you from following your soul desire. But if you just accept that it's just a feeling, it's not reality, it's just a feeling, then you just keep doing what you do. And what will end up happening is eventually you will become aware that what's trying to stop you is a program inside of you that is seeking to gain love and approval and relevance outside of you. And when you become aware that, oh, my value doesn't come from anybody else's opinion, doesn't come from money, fame, anything like that, approval, it comes from me doing what I want and enjoying it. And I'm the only one qualified to decide if I enjoy doing something or not. I'm the only one qualified to pat myself on the back and say, good job. If people do that, great, but a lot of people won't. In fact, I just experienced this yesterday where I was in the midst of helping somebody. It wasn't a client, it was another setup. I was in the midst of helping somebody and giving them support in their pain and telling them I've gone through that and this is what I do. And then somebody came at me and started saying that I was trying to make him look stupid because I was encouraging somebody else to follow their dreams. And all that means is that this guy didn't have the ability, the wherewithal to feel like he could follow his dreams. That's very sad. But that's a good example of somebody who, when given the opportunity, you can go after what you want. He feels that he needs to get approval from outside of himself, and it's a horrible place to live. All right, so go to the audiobooks and get the Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life, and that will explain all of that. So Lushka, just keep doing what you're doing. Just do the work. Deuce 88. How many times do you keep wanting me to get mad at you? Deuce 88. I'm not your dad. Why do you want me to keep telling you what a screw up you are and why you need to pay attention? Why do you want that from me? You know what the rules are. If you have a question, you know how to do it. So when you have a question, do what I want and I'll answer it. Vincent.thunderwizard.com, honest feeling. I started getting vague childhood flashbacks upon waking. I simultaneously get this intense feeling of worthlessness, guilt, shame, and self-hatred. I'm scared and don't know what to do. Good for you. Not it's good that you're having those feelings. That's not good. But it means that you're growing. Keep doing what you're doing. Talk to your sponsor, work your steps, and keep doing the stuff that we teach here. Vincent has another honest feeling. I'm happy about the progress I've made in my step work and making progress in my recovery. However, I'm concerned about the flashbacks. Well, I can understand your concern, but it's just you're purging. So, if you eat bad fish, what starts happening? You feel sick and you start throwing up. You're purging. The flashbacks are purging. You're getting rid of it. You're detoxing. So you just have to let that happen. And when you're done puking, you feel better. When these feelings make their way out, you will feel better. Just keep doing the work. Soul Freeman, honest feeling. I did the interdimensional shamanic journey last night. I felt a subtle connection with a guide. Good. It is oftentimes very subtle. My heart was filled with joy and I didn't want to leave their presence. Very enjoyable. Good. It works. It's incredibly simple. Anybody can do it. Incredibly simple. It's amazing how simple it is. All right, let's see. Timothy Zoll, honest feeling. While journeying, it was explained. Okay, so Timothy, this isn't necessarily a feeling. It's an interesting experience, but it's not necessarily a feeling. Anyway, you say, while journeying, it was explained, I'm assuming to you, it was explained to you that there was an issue that I had to get over and to be more patient and less judgmental. All right. Well, that was an interesting message. Maybe we should put that, honest question, honest feeling, honest message. And you can share your messages from the ET guides. All right. I don't see any other questions here, so I'll go over all the stuff again. So let's see here. Let's go up. For right now, the audio books that are available are right there. So the links, the bit.ly links there, are links that take you directly to the pages where you can get started with Audible. And if you use those links, that's obviously going to be helpful to me. So you have to put them in exactly as they're written right there. And right now we've got the Thunder Wizard audiobooks are Extraterrestrials Are Coming to Earth. Odin Says Jesus Was a Coward. The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. Rune Shamanism. Happiness was my second book. It's an awesome book. And Wealth Shaman, which is also a great book. It has really great shamanic practices which will help you look at your blocks and learn how to be more productive. And of course, we have the 90-day challenge, thunderwizard.com. And right underneath that, we now have the Interdimensional Shamanic Journey meditation course. And I recommend that you subscribe at the 90-day. You'll have access to that as well. We've got everything here, courses.thunderwizard.com. Don't ask me, where can I get this? How much is that? Because if you go to courses.thunderwizard.com, you'll see everything that I offer, everything that's available. All right, so I took up some time to see if there were more questions. There aren't any, so I guess we're done for tonight. And Deuce didn't bother to write honest question in all caps and get his question answered. So next time, Deuce. All right, that's it for me, guys. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for showing up. I'm really excited about what's coming. And I'm really excited about sharing that with you and continuing to share with you what I learned from our higher dimensional extraterrestrial friends. That's it. I'll see you guys all next time.